That's Travis Roberts from his debut album Rebel Rose, just out now on New West Records. We found Travis in Nashville hours before the album was due to be released and asked him what he had planned for the big day.
Well, she covers me like kudzu vines.
It's still July here, but tomorrow, August 1st, I'll be at Chiefs on Broadway in Nashville playing my record with Alex Williams.
Oh, cool. All right. Yeah, that's nice. And yeah, so are you doing kind of a solo thing, or you got a band with you, or what's happening?
I've got the band. I actually had to lock them out of the room so we could have a good interview.
That's a good place for them. Bands are like that. Yeah. Well, congratulations on the record.
They're fun guys.
So how are you feeling about the whole thing?
Man, I'm a little starstruck at the moment. This is my debut record. I never thought that I'd be putting my debut record out on a record label.
Right.
And being in Nashville right now, I'm in an Airbnb. There's 7 beds and 8 guys, and we're trying to make it work, you know?
I'm trying to do the math there, but I don't want you.
Right.
It's better than the other way around, I guess.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. And you're right. I mean, these days, hardly anybody's on a label. So how did you get signed up with New West?
I owe my linking up with New West to my friend Mr. Dalton Domino. Dalton Domino, great artist from Texas.
And a
Used to
great
manage
name,
me.
by the way.
Yeah, great musician name for sure. And he had managed me for a while, and whenever it came time and we were about halfway through finishing our record, he was like, "We probably need to go find you a label." And
Right.
so we got hooked up with people at New West and with John and with Brady and with Katie and Courtney and Logan, and all those guys have been super awesome with the way that we've done our stuff.
All right. So Dalton produced the record with a couple other folks. So how far back do you and Dalton go?
Oh, Dalton and I go back about 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
He was managing me at the time, and then when it came time to actually sit down and do a record, we decided we were going to do it with our friend Mr. PH Nafa from Roger Klein and Mr. Jeff Lusby Brialt, both really great, talented producers and engineers in their own right, and they made up what I would like to say is a pretty killer record.
Yep. And so what did the producers bring to the table that kind of enhanced or did what you wouldn't maybe have thought of once you got in the studio?
Well, when we walked into the studio, I thought we were going to make a country record, and so I kind of played it safe on a lot of those songs
Right.
before they came into the studio because I thought, let's make something that the people in Texas are going to like, and it's going to be in their wheelhouse and not scare them off or anything. And the producers kind of just threw that across the room and went, well, let's go ahead and just make what we want to make. And so we made a pretty rock and roll record with a little bit of country in it,
Yep. That seems to be the way these things are going these days. Rock and roll, I've been told, is a subgenre of country now.
Yeah, there's plenty of good rock and roll music on its own, but my favorite kind of rock and roll kind of lives in country music right now.
Right. So what's your background music-wise? What did you grow up listening to?
Oh, I grew up listening to a ton of different stuff. When I was younger, my mom showed me Steve Earle's Copperhead Road, and that kind of made me a songwriter in my own right, where I just
Believe it or not,
loved
that's a
that.
huge record here in New Zealand.
Oh, is it really?
Yep.
Well, that's good. New Zealand's got good music then. Steve, yeah, I love that Steve Earle record, man. It's great. And then I started to find stuff on my own in high school, and I found a bunch of punk music. I listened to a lot of Blink 182. I listened to a lot of the Clash, the Ramones. I love the Sex Pistols.
Right.
And then I started listening to Jimmy Eat World and getting more of the pop punk sensibility of all that stuff. And then as I got older, which I say older, I'm 25 now, but as my music taste has kind of aged itself a little bit, I started getting really into Bob Dylan and Bruce Springsteen and the Grateful Dead and the Byrds, and that stuff had a real big inspiration on what we did on some of this stuff.
All righty. So you got 10 songs on here. Which one starts things off? What is the oldest track on the record, or oldest song rather?
The oldest song on the record would probably be a song called Kutsu.
Okay. Which is
It's
a single, isn't it? You got a video and a whole bit.
Yeah, we had the video, the whole shebang, and Kutsu was kind of the song that we thought was going to be a countryer record, but it kind of leaned off of that.
I think of what I had, what I lost when she covers me like kudzu vines. She covers me like kudzu vines. Well, she covers me like kudzu vines.
Kutsu was a song that came from me dropping out of college and
Right.
dating a girl in college. And whenever we went into Kutsu, we decided we were going to add some weird instruments. We added some xylophone in it. That was just a ton of fun. And that's probably the oldest song on the record. And then the one that's oldest right after that is going to be All My Friends, and then Fake Magnolias. And those are the old ones that kind of came in pre planning for this record.
Right.
And then as the record kept going on and we started talking about writing more songs for it to be a full-fledged record, we started putting songs like Belle Marie, Ink Ain't Dry on that, you know.
Yep. 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 All right. And I see you got Shelby Stone, who sings on several tracks with you. How did that come about?
Well, Shelby and I are good friends. She's a great musician in her own right. She's got a new record coming out called Silver Year that I'm excited for.
Right.
But we met through we had the same manager, and then
Ah, well, that helps.
yeah, exactly. And then when we got in the studio, Shelby wanted to cut some harmonies on that stuff, and we were looking for some harmonies, and so it was just a match made in heaven. And Shelby sounds great on a ton of that stuff. On Belle Marie especially, there's a whole bunch of Shelby in there.
Well, Belle Marie, come on, Belle Marie, you got a real bad case of the make-believes. Well, Belle Marie, come on, Belle Marie, call me when you finally wake up to reality, Belle Marie.
What was the vibe like in the studio making these tracks? What did it feel like?
So they were destination. It was a destination record. So we didn't cut it close to home. We cut it in Arizona. And, being from
Arizona.
Texas, that's about a 13, 14 hour drive,
Yeah.
And so it just happened to be the room that honestly, it was the cheapest, and it had a
Fair
bunch of
enough.
our friends close by. And so we cut it there. And it was one of those things where, when we cut that record, we would travel because at that time I was working a day job. I was kind of doing a version of uh, the Music Man, where I would go sell instruments out of the back of my van.
Right.
I worked for a music company, and whenever we would find time, I'd be able to get like this week off or a week and a half off about once a year. And so over a 2 year period, I would take that week and we would drive to Arizona and we cut this record.
All right. All right. And you grew up in Amarillo, Texas, is that right?
Yeah, yep. I grew up in Amarillo, Texas. I kind of bounced around. I was born in South Korea. My father was in the military, and then we kind of bounced around. I lived in Amarillo the largest chunk of my life, but then I spent a good time in Tennessee in Knoxville,
All right.
a couple hours away from where I'm at now, and then I moved back to Amarillo, and that's where I've kind of settled in.
So give me an idea what growing up in Amarillo is like. It sounds very kind of exotic here in New Zealand.
Yeah, it's pretty exotic in the fact that it is flat as can be. I'm sure in Australia it's pretty similar, but
Yeah,
it's
that,
just flat lands for
yeah,
days. I could watch my dog run away for 3 hours if I felt like it.
right.
But man, there's a bunch of stuff out there, big ranching community, big cattle community. And so there's a lot of good music there too. And I love that in Amarillo, it doesn't necessarily just breed country music. It breeds a bunch of great metal bands and rock bands as well.
Right,
And it really turns into something really, really cool out there. It's kind of a melting pot in its own way, but it's just kind of out of desperation, not necessarily like it's an artistic hub
right.
sometimes. It's just people make art, and there's not a lot of art out there that's getting imported, so we kind of just make our own.
Cool, cool, cool. Now I see you do have a co-writer on one track. Ray Wiley Hubbard has written a
Yes,
song with you.
Mr. Ray Wiley Hubbard
He's a little
himself.
bit older than you are.
He's got some age on me. Yeah.
So, and of course, he had that song "Up Against the Wall," "Redneck Mother," that came out a few years back. So,
Yes, he did.
so
Yes,
how did you and
Ray.
he come together?
Ray is a treat, man. So I met Ray through Dalton, and one day we were in a little town called Borger, Texas, which is about an hour away from where we are in Amarillo. And there wasn't a
Right,
lot to do in Borger, so we were hanging out. Ray was playing this benefit show, and I was told to meet Ray at this O'Reilly Auto Parts in in Amarillo or in Borger. And
right,
so I followed him to his bus, and we just kind of hung out for the day. And it was kind of surreal because Ray's written some of my favorite records ever. There's a record he's got called The Grifter's Hymnal, which is one of my favorite records. And Ray and I were sitting down, and I was trying to show him this song that I wrote about being stuck behind a train. And so I started talking about how I don't speak good Spanish. Well, my wife, her family speaks a ton of Spanish,
right,
mine don't.
right.
And so Ray goes, "Well, why don't you just sing the line in Spanish?" And so I took that and went, "All right, Ray, you're the co-writer." And we took it to the studio, and it ended up being Perfect Blues.
Well, I got real shy Spanish, so nobody pays
Right. Well, you know it's a country record when you've written a song about waiting for a train, right behind a
That's
train. I
it.
mean,
That's
you know
it.
what I'm talking about.
We needed to check that country box, and Hereford Blues did it.
That and watching a dog run away for 3 hours.
Exactly.
So- all right. So the record's imminently out where you are and already out where I'm at. So what's next for you?
Honestly, just try to play a bunch of shows behind it. We're at that point now where it's like all of this potential that had sat behind us for 2 years is
Right?
finally smack there in our face, and so we're just playing everything and anything we can find to try to get this record in front of people.
Yeah.
So we've got some stuff coming up. We got a couple festival dates. We've got Americana Fest in Nashville
Oh yeah.
coming up, and then we got some stuff with our friend Slade Coulter from Lubbock, Texas, and we're going to play some shows, and we're having a good time, man. I'm just here to ride the wave as much as I can.
Because I don't know how much you want to touch on this, but you had a rough past behind you. Does that
Yeah,
feel like it's behind you? Or are you feeling like this is a new chapter in your life?
some days it feels a little bit more behind me, and sometimes it feels a little in front of me. But
Right?
I'll be 100% honest with you. I mean, it really changed when I got married.
Yeah.
As much as being a musician is great, I love making music, but it was one of those things where it's like I can pretty much mark where my life changed because in this record, when we started it, I was just dating my wife.
Right?
We weren't even engaged yet. But in the time that this record has taken from the first time we stepped into the studio to it coming out, my wife and I have now been married for almost 2 years,
Nice.
and we were dating, engaged, and married in that time. And so it's one of those things where, the record is a part of it, but it's one of the coolest things where I just get to do life with somebody. It doesn't look as rough as it did back in the day.
Yeah, because I think you had a release back in 2020 called Cabin Fever. Is that right?
I did, and that was actually pretty fresh after I gotten sober. It was just a couple months.
I've got cabin fever in my bones. Yes, I'm stuck here in this snow, trying to find a way to slow my roll. 'Cause if I can't kick the liquor, there's no way that I'm coming home. Oh no.
That song has a funny story. It started as a that the recorded version wasn't the first version that ever went to radio. The first version that ever went to radio was a bootleg that a friend of mine, a radio DJ, had ripped off of a live performance that I had done in the studio right before the world shut down.
Right?
And he took that live recording, and I had gone to a rehab in Houston, Texas, rehabilitation center. And then when I came back, I heard that song on the radio, and I went, "Well, wait a second! I hadn't recorded or released a version of that yet." And so it was funny to watch that song kind of do what it did.
Yeah, that's cool. So you and do you how that was 5 years ago, which is actually a long time for just about everybody, thanks to the
Yeah.
way the world turns these days. How are you a different artist in person now than you were back then, do you think?
I would say definitely the way that I'm different now is that I've kind of came into my own skin, if you're picking up what I'm putting down.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I feel like the stuff that I'm making now is as close to the way that I feel as possible. And so it's one of those things where I'm not really playing the imitation game. And I'm not really playing the trying to fit into the box game. I'm just making whatever I want to make. And that's one of the coolest feelings on earth.
Yeah. It sounds like you had fun making this record. I mean, it sounds like when you hear the record, like, yeah, they're having a good time here. What the heck?
Yeah, there was not a dull moment in that studio. That's for sure.
Very good, very good. All right. Well, you ever been down to this part of the world? You're from South Korea, but that's not quite down to New Zealand and Australia.
I've never been to New Zealand, but I've got a good friend who makes music in Australia. His name's Mr. Wade Forrester.
All right.
Yeah, I love that dude, and every time he talks about going home, and I'm on the phone with him, which with the time difference, it's pretty strange hours that we're on the phone.
Yes, I can
Um,
imagine.
he uh, he always tells me I got to come out there. So I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan. So
Oh, you're
I love New Zealand for New Zealand for sure.
we got a pretty good Americana scene as well. A lot of cool local artists and artists transplanted planted from U.S. and Canada come here and
I'll
record
definitely
here.
have to pop in then. No
You should
problem.
indeed. We'd love to have you. All righty. Well, it sounds like you're having a great time. What are you going to do first thing in the morning?
First thing in the morning, I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna take a shower so I can survive. But the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go get a cup of coffee and I'm gonna drive down since I'm in Nashville to my record label at New West Records and tell them thank you. It's not everybody on earth gets to do this. And so the fact that I do makes me one of the luckiest dudes on the planet. So I'm going to go say thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode of the 13th Floor's Music Talk series, please be sure to subscribe to the website or to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram and wherever you find your podcasts. There's a whole lot more to discover.